Hi everyone, my name is Justine and I am the Mermaid Seamstress. Welcome mer friends to my channel. I've been wanting to do this for a while now, and I finally got some time in my life to start uploading videos. So I wanted to make this video to introduce myself, as well as tell you a little bit about what you can expect on this channel. So like many kids of my generation, I was really impacted by The Little Mermaid, and I loved mermaids growing up. I was always a huge fan of the water. I would always go swimming with my friends and we would always play mermaids. So in 2011 I was searching YouTube and I came across a video of Hannah Fraser in her mermaid tail, and I was absolutely blown away. And I probably watched hours worth of her videos. And then I came across a video that was called How to Make Your Own Swimmable Mermaid Tail. And so I freaked out. I was so excited. It looked really easy, so I went out and I bought myself a Finis Rapid, which was the monofin that the woman in the tutorial recommended, and probably one of the cheapest ones on the market at that time. There wasn't any like fancy mermaid tails or fin fun tails or anything like that in 2011 that I can remember. So I went out and I got myself a Finis Rapid monofin and some swimsuit fabric from Joann's, and I made this mermaid tail, and I was so excited. I swam in it so much that I wore it out within the first summer of having it. And over that summer I thought about it and I looked at it and I looked at Hannah Fraser's tails, and I discovered more mermaids online and saw their tails, and I was like, whoa, you know, I can do this better. One of the biggest things that I thought it was missing was texture. So my next tail, I got shinier fabric. I got a metallic print spandex off of Spandex World. And I decided I was going to paint it. So I painted it with silver spray paint, and I used a old garden wagon that had like a crosshatch pattern as a stamp that I sprayed silver, and then I stamped a scale pattern. My dad got really mad at me because I permanently turned that wagon silver. But I made this really awesome tail, what I thought was a really awesome tail. But what I didn't realize was that that fabric absolutely hated water. It started to chip. The plasticky metallic print started chipping off and started fading, and by the end of the summer lasted a shorter period of time than my first tail. So I was at a loss. I didn't know what to do, and at that time my family was going to go on vacation, a big family vacation with extended family and everything, to the Bahamas, and I had to have a mermaid tail to wear in the Bahamas. So I looked online and I found a scale print spandex. And I think it was one of the first scale print spandex that I had ever seen on the market. But I was super excited about it, but I realized that me and my picky aesthetics, I could not have scales on my fluke. Real fish did not have scales on their fluke, and so I could not have scales on my fluke. So I looked and looked and looked online, and I could see all of these people having two-toned tails, but I didn't know how they achieved it. So I did a lot of experimenting. It took me about 4 tries, but I finally got my very first two-toned tail. And everybody I talked to who saw this tail was super excited, and my cousin begged me to make her one for the Bahamas as well. So that's when I started making mermaid tails for people other than myself. I made her this mermaid tail, and she was so stoked. And then my friend's birthday came up, and I made her a mermaid tail that was, you know, custom to her design and her measurements, and she loved it. She was so stoked about it, and we went swimming all over the lake with it. And that really inspired me to just like share my joy and my passion of mermaiding with other people, because people were so excited when they saw me as a mermaid, that little spark of imagination that starts to dwindle when you become a teenager and then an adult. That spark of imagination is so important to me. And so I really wanted to inspire that in other people. So I continued making these mermaid tails. And in high school, I met a friend who really hated water. And despite that fact, we got to be really good friends. And finally, our freshman year of college, I convinced him that I was going to make him a mermaid tail. And he was like, oh, okay, whatever. And once we got into the process of it, so we found him like a very cheap monofin. He's a very tiny person, so I think we found him a suntails, and he didn't quite like the shape, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something different. I used a technique that I had used in making structural garments from some of my costuming days. And I put boning channels in the fluke. So you can see here that there's actually no monofin in this fluke. There's actually just boning channels holding out the fabric. And that got him the shape that he wanted. So it wasn't perfect by any means, but I still have some experimenting to do. But it really turned me on to the fact that, you know, I can experiment with these and I can make them better. And every time I try and make a mermaid tail, I try and make it better. And I started looking again to YouTube for inspiration. And I found that a lot of people who make their own fabric tails don't necessarily have tutorials on more advanced tails. The only two I could find were from Stella the Siren and from Courtney Mermaid. And I started watching Courtney the Vancouver Mermaid's channel. And from that, I got inspired to start using spacer fabric, which I now will use most of the time. It's one of my favorite things to use. And I tried my hand at hand painting a tail. And it didn't turn out too shabby. I was actually pretty proud of it. And if I don't really like the style, I can definitely use the techniques that I used on this to make fins for my next tail and paint flukes and just add another level of individuality to my tails that I was really lacking when I was using pre-printed fabric. So I see it as an opportunity to make my next tail even better. And more unique and more customized to what I want. And that's my goal for this channel, is to share with all of you guys my experiments, my failures, my successes, my tips and tricks that I've amassed over the last 7 years of making tails and swimming in tails, so that those of you who are new to swimming, I hope that this will be a place you can come for inspiration and to find a foundation from which to make your own mermaid dreams come true. And for those of you who already have tails and want to take them to the next level, I hope that I can share some of my wisdom and some of my failures and some of my successes with you guys to help you guys improve the tails that you make in the future. Can't wait to see more of my videos. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below to join the fishy family. Thanks guys, happy swimming!